This is back roads of Illinois server to farmers and ranchers in central Illinois and the Midwest. This is back roads of Illinois server to farmers and ranchers in central Illinois and the Midwest. We're glad you're here on today. I am Cesar Delgado on today. We were talking about Louisiana's ag with Avery Davson from Louisiana Farm Bureau in Baton Rouge. Avery is part of the NAFB. I will be in Chicago for this weekend in the Illinois Farm Bureau annual meeting. We have coverage for this weekend in Chicago for Illinois Farm Bureau. You've been listening to Back Roads of Illinois. I'm joining with Avery Davis from Louisiana Farm Bureau in Baton Rouge. Avery is part of Louisiana Farm Bureau and the NFB. Hey Avery, how are you today in Baton Rouge?
Hey, Caesar, doing well. A little bit cold here in Baton Rouge. This morning it was 43 degrees, and I consider anything below 70 degrees to be cold. So, that's a little chilly for me. It might get a little colder tomorrow, but I know that when I complain about 43 being cold, all my friends up there in Illinois kind of laugh at me. They're like, "You don't know what cold is, boy."
It's pretty snowy in central Illinois.
And now you know why I live in South Louisiana. That said, we had snow at my house in January of this year, and it was right before the American Farm Bureau convention, so we had to wait for the roads to open again to be able to drive to San Antonio for the American Farm Bureau convention. But we had so much snow that e- when I say everything shut down, we don't know how to deal with it here in South Louisiana, right? So our Farm Bureau office shut down. The roads were all closed. It was absolutely everything was closed, and so we had to literally. I even had to take a route north of I-10 to be able to drive into Texas. So, uh, Caesar, you can keep all the snow over there. We don't want it here.
Are you kidding about it? I-10 was closed to Texas.
Correct. Yeah, it was closed just west of Lafayette, all the way to the Texas state line. That was in January of this year. I'm trying to remember the exact dates because it literally opened up as we were driving to San Antonio for the American Farm Bureau convention. I had to take a US 190 to go north of the interstate because that was open, but how the interstate was not. And there's also a portion of I-10 between Baton Rouge and Lafayette. It's a 19-mile bridge, so it's all elevated. It's the fifth largest or longest bridge in the world. At least it was last time I checked. And that's why they shut things down so much because we have so many bridges and all of those bridges form ice on them. And I think we have two salt trucks in the state. So it's really tough. We have to borrow salt trucks from other states whenever we get snowy, but normally they're snowy too. So we just wait.
Wow, that's interesting to me.
There are lots of interesting things about Louisiana. If you come down to New Orleans, I know you did in 2023, so you've seen some interesting. Try living in it.
Avery, let's start with our conversation about updating on the growing season in the state of Louisiana. Can you tell us what's the yield with corn and beans, cotton, sugar cane, rice?
Absolutely. So When you look at those main big crops, I'll start with sugarcane because sugarcane harvest is underway right now. We're a little bit past the midway point. Usually, sugarcane harvest goes all the way into January, so about the first or second week of January, depending upon the size of the crop. We typically have about 100 days to do all of the harvesting, and that's because we mentioned that cold weather. That's not good for sugarcane. Louisiana is the northernmost part of the world in which sugarcane is grown. We have about 525,000 acres across the state. Most of that is making it to the mill. We have good tonnage and good sugar content so far. That's past the midway point of the season. Now, if we get a pretty bad freeze, that can all go downhill pretty fast on with what's left out there in the fields. Corn, we had a pretty average year for corn here in Louisiana. If we're getting 150 to 250 bushels per acre, we're pretty good, and so we're probably averaging somewhere in that 160 170 range. Uh, Soybean yields were a little bit higher. I was texting earlier with Dr. Michael Diliberto over at the LSU Ag Center. He's the main economist there, and he was telling me that soybean yields were a little bit above average. So we're looking somewhere in that 60 to 70 bushels per acre range. Cotton yields were good, but prices were not. And so that we actually did a story on This Week in Louisiana Agriculture a couple of months ago about the fact that cotton yields, or not cotton yields, cotton acres in Louisiana are at the lowest they've been since Reconstruction. So we're down below 100,000 acres of cotton in the state, somewhere around 80,000 acres. And this is in a state in which cotton used to be king. In rice country, we finished up our ratoon crop. So here in Louisiana, we can grow two crops of rice. We harvest that first one in July and August, and then we can normally get another harvest somewhere around September, October. And the yields were pretty average to below average. It wasn't a great year for rice, but we'll hear more about that in the coming weeks. The Rice Outlook Conference is going to be held next week here in New Orleans, so we're definitely going to talk a lot more about rice.
Can you tell our audience about the history of this crop? I saw that looks like the corn crop of it for sugar cane.
Yeah, so sugarcane came to Louisiana more than 200 years ago. It was planted first by the Jesuit priests in New Orleans, and it has really just exploded from there. Um, we have seen a number of corn and rice acres shift into sugarcane. Obviously, that has a lot to do with economics. A lot of it also has to do with the soil. So when you go further west toward Lake Charles, along the heel of the boot, if you will, of Louisiana, that area is much more sandy soils, and it's not that gumbo soil that you really need. That dark black, uh, really sticky, muddy soil that you need for sugarcane. So it's really tough for some of those rice acres to shift into sugarcane. When you go up toward the delta, once you get north of Concordia Parish, which is, a little more than midway up the boot, that is the northernmost part in the world in which sugarcane is grown. So Concordia Parish, Louisiana, is that spot. When you start to get north of that, you're taking a risk of having a freeze that destroys your crop. We do have a lot of folks around Cheneyville who grow a fair amount of sugarcane, and in those areas, you can start to see some shift between corn and sugarcane. What really has become a competition with sugarcane ground is urban sprawl. So, unlike Florida, where if you go to U.S. Sugars, that is 400,000 contiguous acres of sugarcane right there by Lake Okeechobee. The only reason why Louisiana has more sugarcane now than Florida is because Florida shifted a lot of that cane ground back into the Everglades. Here in Louisiana, our sugarcane fields are right next to houses, right next to subdivisions, and so those subdivisions expand into our sugarcane producing areas. Then we've recently had some competition with solar installations. So when you look at Louisiana, the northern part is very rural. The southern portion, everything along the I-10 corridor, 80% of the population is along the I-10 corridor and south. So where do you want to build your power plants? Where do you want to build any kind of solar electricity facility? Well, that's going to be along that I-10 corridor, which is also prime cane country, prime cane ground. So some landowners have shifted their acres out of agriculture altogether and put them into solar. And so that has been a really tough thing for some of our sugarcane farmers to have to contend with. Obviously, we as Farm Bureau have taken an interest in this, and at the same time that we want to protect every acre of agricultural land, we also understand private property rights. So we want people to be able to do what they want with their land, but we also want people to consider what is that land best used for? What is it? Is it so? I would say that it's a blessing and a curse. So it's a blessing in that it's all new to me. And so it's all novel and it's all interesting to me. I had to learn on the job about the importance of corn yields, the importance of having an agronomist, the importance of land grant universities like the LSU Ag Center and the Southern University Ag Center. All of those things I learned while on the job, and so that helped me out. But it's I guess a little more difficult because I don't just have that natural background. I ask questions all the time. Yeah, I'm going on my 18th year. It'll be 18 years in March, and I still I'm still learning. But that's what I love about what I was doing in broadcasting. I love learning. My original plan was to be a teacher, and then I got bitten by the news bug and realized I could be a teacher to people on television. And so this allows me to still do that. I get to still be a teacher because I like learning, and then I like telling people about what I learned. It's just that's the cool thing about it. So everything I know about agriculture uh, has been from my time here at Louisiana Farm Bureau.
What did you got involved in the agricultural industry, Avery?
Wait, go ahead and repeat that for me one more time, Caesar.
What did you got involved in the agricultural industry, Avery?
Well, what really got me involved was Mike Dana consistently coming back to me and making this pitch to come to work for Louisiana Farm Bureau. Unlike other farm broadcasters like yourself, I wasn't I didn't know of Orion Samuelson or Max Armstrong. Those weren't my idols growing up, and not because they're not good at their job. What they've done to pave the way for ag broadcasters is amazing. They actually, they set the stage for what I do today. My mentors were George Sells and Paul Gates and Charles Kuralt and Don Hewitt, uh, folks who worked, hard news. So it wasn't until Mike Dana just came and persistently came to me saying, you need to take this job. You need to work in agriculture, and you're going to love the people you work for. And that is probably the most uh, fulfilling part of my job is I work for amazing people at
Uh,
Louisiana Farm Bureau. They are all volunteer leaders. Richard Fontenot is a wonderful president, and he's showing great leadership. But even the leaders before him, Jim Harper, who was president before Mr. Fontenot, and Ronnie Anderson, who was my boss when I was first hired here, and he served as a Louisiana Farm Bureau president for 31 years. So these are people who are not only growing food for the world, they're giving of their time. They're giving of the most valuable resource they have to ensure that this industry stays vibrant.
Finally, how is the concerning about LSU football for this playoffs format?
Well, I would say that with the news that came out yesterday, I think next year's going to be good. I think next year's going to be good. I mean, Lane Kiffin being named the new head coach of LSU football, I know that has angered some of my friends over at Ole Miss. One, they'll get over it. Two, he really has a toolbox here with that NIL money that LSU is going to provide, with the support that you have from the LSU community. I this year, yeah, we knew once we suffered the loss to Ole Miss, once we suffered a whole bunch of other losses, our hopes were dashed for the college football playoffs this year. But I think next year, Lane Kiffin, I'm on the Lane train. Okay, I'm officially saying it here. I'm on the Lane train, and if I'm singing the praises of Lane Kiffin, I also have to sing the praises of Marshall Faulk. So Southern University here in Baton Rouge it also got a new head coach yesterday. Marshall Faulk, who used to be a great running back and is coming here to coach the Southern University Jaguars. I think they're going to do great. Now, if only my ULL Raging Cajuns could step it up. Michael Desormeaux is doing a great job there as the head coach. It's just it was a tough season for them, even though they had the win against ULM this weekend. I think we might still make it to the New Orleans Bowl. Who knows?
Oh,
Wow. I rooted for Illinois and Iowa State because I am a Midwestern.
And you should. They're both great teams. I think the Big Ten championship's going to be a pretty important game.
Thanks, Avery. I admire your work in Louisiana, and good luck with everything for next year.
Thank you, Caesar. I admire your work there in Illinois. And listen, it's a pleasure being here. Please let me know if ever we can do anything for you down here in Louisiana. And that includes bringing you back to New Orleans.
This is Avery Davis from Louisiana Farm Bureau in Baton Rouge on back roads of Illinois.